I'd like to welcome everybody to our Monday HR Happy Hour event. We have a very special guest, and I say very because she at one point was active in the job market herself. She's an HR consultant, gainfully employed. Her name is Marylou Ponzi. I've known Marylou for years. She's been helping and supporting our outreach over time in all sorts of different ways. And one of my favorite ways is to have her bring some of the things that she's written a book on. And so when it comes to professional branding of yourself during an active job search as a way to differentiate your interview, Marylou has a lot to offer in that area. So without too much further ado, if you will, I want to ask for a round of applause for Marylou. Take it away, Marylou.
The roar of the crowd. Well, thank you, everyone. Glad to be here tonight, and glad to talk about this topic, which is kind of a pet passion of mine. I kind of got started on it when I was inside corporations building their corporate brand and thinking about branding for corporations and attracting employees. And from there, it was, I guess, for me, connected to think about the personal brand of a person and how they could build that. And in 2010, I started writing articles for Examiner.com about your personal brand. I think it was something like I responded to an email they sent me. I wrote a sample article. Next thing you know, I have this little thing going on where I write these articles. And over time, they build up. And, okay, someone else has joined. Welcome. Someone just came on board with us. So over time, these articles accumulated, and I ended up putting them together in a book in 2013 that I self-published with CreateSpace, which is a subsidiary of Amazon, and basically organizing the articles into some categories and launching it. And from there came some coaching work, some speaking engagements. It's not something I've pushed on because I do have my full-time HR career, but like I told you, it's kind of a pet love of mine, and I try to help people whenever I can in improving their brand or even thinking about, do they have a brand and what could they do about it? And I do some Back on Track Network, which is based, well, they're based in Coral Gables and Davie, and I think also in Kendall. And they basically help people in transition. So they have meetings on, at least Davie has meetings on Monday nights at St. Bonaventure's Parish Center, which is why I'm oftentimes not attending this meeting because I'm over there. But that's also designed to help people who are in transition, whether it's, you know, helping their interviewing skills, their resumes, and things of that nature. So because of that, and because of being someone who's also been in and out of job search, last year I was at Univita Health, which went out of business within the space of a week. We had to terminate 1,400 people.
Wow.
Very sad, terrible experience. I mean, I'd been through downsizings before, but never that big and that drastic where they're not only not getting severance and they can apply for unemployment, but we're telling them, use your benefits this week because our plan's not going to exist in 2 weeks, and forget about COBRA. So that was kind of sad. But on the heels of that, I did get a consulting assignment for short term, and then in December, I was hired by Paychex, so I'm now a field HR generalist for them. I have 51 clients. I'm going out visiting clients. And when I'm not doing that, I'm up at the Deerfield Beach office and getting a lot of training in their systems, but kind of recycling myself as an HR professional, I guess. You know, it's a very different way to go about it. Some of my clients are not so interested in HR. Maybe they just want to know if the deductions were right on the last payroll, and I have to try to help them with that. In other cases, they may want training, but it's still HR. It's just a different way to do it. And I guess that's something, I just wrote an article about adaptability that I put out yesterday on LinkedIn. But I think that that's a key skill that people need to think about. What way can they stay relevant in the workplace by using skills they might have, but maybe they never thought of them as skills that could be transferred into a new kind of position. So that's just kind of an added. But to get underway, we're going to talk about revitalizing, keeping your brand out there in the public eye. So I guess I want to hear from you guys some stories. What have you done? And I know earlier one of the participants was sharing that it was through some volunteer work that her current assignment has come. Did you want to speak about that? I believe it was Karen.
Sure. Yep, sure. So I don't know if everybody knows, but a lot of you do. Through all of my volunteer work and networking, I received a consulting position with Florida Atlantic University, and also through that, I just received my position, a part-time position with also the Department of Education through vocational rehabilitation. So.
Excellent. Very exciting. So here she's taken some skills that she had, some work she was doing, and she leveraged that into a whole new kind of career for herself. It may not be what she did before, but it is work that she's enjoying and able to use all the skills that she had from before. Someone else want to jump in and tell me about something they've done to basically go from one place to another? Yes, please
Hi,
share. Hello.
Marylou.
Yes, hi there.
Nice meeting you. My name is Ines,
Hi,
and
Ines.
I recently moved to South Florida, and
Okay.
I am in transition. And one of the things that I have done is, of course, worked on my LinkedIn brand, my profile. I
Sure.
try to keep it alive by looking at my summary and my experience very frequently. And I now have a blog and talk about issues concerning HR and the work that I like to do, and with hopes that it will help others and as well get me out there and my brand.
Please share with us your blog. What I don't know whether Mike will take it down. Maybe
Well, no,
share
I
it
was
with
gonna
all the.
I was gonna ask the exact same thing, Mary Lou. We're thinking alike.
Okay.
And this, tell us, because I think it's safe to say 2 or 3 or 4 of us now are gonna read your blog. You have picked up some followers here, which is perfect.
Really.
So tell us how we can find out about it.
Well, if you go to my profile, LinkedIn profile, there is a under my photo and summary, there is a list of posts or a place where you can click on my posts. But what I will do after this is I will be happy to send you all individually a link to my latest post. I'm happy to say that now I have written 22, and I try to do. I have been doing.
Wow.
I'm very happy because it wasn't easy to start.
Sure.
What is amazing is that once I started loving it, and it is something that I do at the end of the week, and it really inspires me to research, to learn more, and of course to connect with people that either are following me or who are in the same road or who are in the same profession.
That's wonderful.
I'm connected to Ines, and I get, I guess, an update where you have shared to your connections, right, Ines?
Yes, hi.
It comes in.
Oh.
It comes in on my update feed on my LinkedIn homepage. So if anybody is connected with Ines, you should, I think, be seeing the Weekender.
Yes,
too.
That's the name. Thank you, Evie.
You're welcome. And then I saw Ines being so visible with her blog, and I don't have anything quite so regular going, but I've always thought that my writing skill is a competitive edge for me, and I have written a couple of articles. I did one about my journey getting my SHRM-CP, and I wrote another one, an essay about hope And I'm now find, I think as Inez did, that I have a lot of ideas now starting to bubble up in my mind and wondering how I can find words to put on it that I feel okay getting my name on it and then sharing it, which it's, you make yourself kind of vulnerable when you put yourself out there like that.
Yes.
No, that's true. That is true. It's a risk, of course.
Something that I have learned in doing this since I started in October when I moved to South Florida, and one of the lessons learned as I measure and look at the number of people that view it. I don't have that many likes, but I have now 555 followers, which is as a result of that.
Wow.
And so what I have learned, and I'm happy to share with you, is the timing of writing and publishing is key. I used to publish at 5 o'clock every 6 p.m. every Friday, and I noticed that people were not reading it. Of course, now I understand
The
that
weekend.
the weekend is the best time, because on Friday people are tired, they want to go home, they want to relax, and between noon Saturday and Sunday night, I have found that it's the best. I get the best readership.
That's good to know.
That's a great tip, Inez. It's good
Excuse
to
me?
know that. That's a great tip. I mean, that's great information.
Thank you. Happy to share
Yes.
anything I learned.
Yes, that's great.
What LinkedIn says in there, if you want to blog, here are, the top 5 tips or whatever,
Right.
they say that their stats show that things that are posted on Thursday have the highest readership.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I
okay.
haven't been that, if I get it done, I post it if it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I just,
Yeah, really.
I'll try it on Thursday and I'll let you know.
let it go.
I'll try it.
So if it is that a blog is something to do or spend time on, how does that translate to, if I could just ask the crowd, how does that translate to interview? Anybody? Marylou?
I think what happens is that people start to recognize your voice, and it facilitates people reaching out to you. I've gotten consulting assignments or coaching assignments through my articles because people heard my voice. Has it helped me on the interviews for HR job side? Not as much so. I don't see it, but then it could be the nature of the your personal brand that I have at Examiner is a more personal kind of thing. But I've had kind of amazing stories of people reaching out to me, so I'm going to share one with you. A fellow named Christopher Kai, who wrote Big Game Hunting, not about hunting real big game, but about going after high, I guess I want to say very high-level people out there, the Bill Gates or the Elon Musk. He's talking about finding places to interact with these people so that they get acquainted with your skills. Now, I happen to write an article about networking at Examiner, and in my article, I attached a video that happened to have Christopher Kai in it. And so he saw that video and reached out to me, and then we spoke, and he said, I would love it if you could write an article a little bit more about what I do. And I said, well, I'd love to do that. And so I wrote an article, and I let him see it before I put it out there. And he was so thrilled about that. And he said to me, if you ever need anything now, am I going to go to some of the things that he goes to, which are these, he's going to the Clinton Initiative or whatever, and the Gates Foundation. I mean, maybe I'm not going to get there. But it's nice to know you could somehow utilize what you've written, what you're about, to get yourself into those arenas, if that's how you're directed. And so that came out of just happening to put a video in my article that had him in it. When you write for Examiner, they give you photos that you can use from Getty Images. You can use those for free. And also they give you videos that you can attach. And they like you to attach links to other articles as well. I mean, they have just certain protocols format, the way you go about it, but It only helps, you know, your content, so to speak, and helps you drive your point home and makes you do some research to find articles that kind of work with what you're writing about. So I think, you know, all of that helps, gets the word out there.
Yes.
Back to your question, Mike, about interviews. If somebody's looking at an application or your resume and they decide to Google you, all of that good work that Inez has done, those are all going to come up with her. I Googled myself today just to see what happened, and I'm like, oh boy, I did that. I was very pleased. So, but it's another reason for us to always be mindful of what we say and to always be constructive when we comment.
Yes, absolutely. Keep it positive, keep it upbeat. You have to be very careful about that because you're right. Google picks up everything, and these other search engines as well, like Bing, they're going to pick up all kinds of things. So you want to make sure that you're being represented in the way that you want to come across. In fact, I think it's brandyourself.com that actually helps you with that. You can get a free membership, and it basically monitors what's out there about you. So that you could go back, and if there's something that's not correct, you could even try to correct it. But that's become very popular nowadays, brandyourself.com. One more way to monitor what's being noted about you out there.
Yes. Yes. There is a saying that goes something like, it takes a lifetime to build a reputation and a second to ruin it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. And also, I like to say, once online, there for all time.
Right.
Like, you put it out there, it doesn't really go away. So make sure it's something nice. I think sometimes the young people don't understand that when they post things at Facebook, it can come back to haunt them later.
Yes.
Sure.
Anyone else want to share how they've done something maybe a little bit off the beaten track to kind of enhance their image? I mean, we do have a presentation which Mike could probably send to all of you. But in the presentation, I'm walking you through two people who have similar backgrounds, similar experiences, similar positions. You got to go forward a couple of slides when I talk about the two people. Well, don't be a ghost. I think you all have pictures, which is good. Okay, A Tale of Two Generalists. So here's Jim, graduated with a major in business. Jean got her bachelor's in psychology. They both have her HR certification. He's worked for a local firm. She started out at an agency and then transferred to a generalist position. So now go to the next slide. So here's the difference. Jim doesn't have a Twitter account. He has no photo or details at LinkedIn. He has maybe 250 connections. I mean, not that Jim isn't a great guy, but he's not getting out there, maybe not going to HR meetings. Whereas Jean has got a photo, lots of project details, 1,500 connections, active on Twitter, Snapchat, writes a blog, board member in an HR association. Big difference in the presence of Jean versus Jim. And then if we go to the next slide, Mike, kind of the crux of what we're talking about here. Which one are you? Who's going to get the call from the recruiter for that top HR job? And remember, it could take years to get that call. And in the interim, you've kind of got to be out there doing your thing, volunteering, being active, commenting on posts, writing blogs yourself. All of that is something that you're building over time. It's not done overnight, but in time, it raises your presence out there in your field and can be very helpful to you. Anyone want to comment about that or has seen the difference when they tried to do some of these things?
Mary, hi, this is Navodita.
Hello.
So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It does make a lot of difference, in terms of your networking and reaching out to people, especially if you are transitioning like me, and I think even Inez and a couple of us here, from a different city to an absolutely new city, and you don't know anybody, you're absolutely new, you don't know the local associations, you don't know their people over there who are active. So I think all this really does make a lot of difference in where you will be in 3 months, 6 months of your job search.
Exactly.
I think these
In
are
a
great.
case like yours, maybe joining one of the local associations and trying to volunteer on one of the committees. They're always looking for help.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
absolutely.
working with people on the committee who will get to know you, they'll get to know about you, what you're good at, and when they have a friend who's looking for someone, they'll say, gee, there's this lady, Novodita, that I worked with on a committee. She might be someone that you should speak to. That's how this kind of thing happens.
Yes.
We say it's who you know, but it's who you know because when I know you because I've worked with you on a committee, or I know you through seeing you at meetings, maybe sitting next to you or chatting with you, I have a context about you. I get a sense of what you're all about, and that generates a level of trust from me. So
Right.
that's really what leads to those kinds of invitations and offers coming, and they kind of snowball after a while, where maybe you have people reaching out to connect with you. Now, it may not always be positive. I've had people reach out to connect, and they're really just looking for me to do something for them. Sometimes I don't like that, but I understand. I prefer that they approach it from this reciprocity angle where I'm going to help you, you're going to help me. Not
Right.
everyone understands that about networking. But for the most part, when people are reaching out to connect, it's usually fairly positive.
Sure.
I don't know if
Mary Lou,
others of you.
this is
Yes,
Cynthia.
yes. What's that?
This is Cynthia. I was going to make
Yes,
a
yes.
hi there. To your point about volunteering in local associations, that has definitely worked. I have first Miami was active with SHRM, but much more with HRABC now because I'm in the Broward area.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not only volunteered and assisted, a lot of the members and the board members, and definitely that has brought me leads, that has brought me some work, that's brought me actually opportunity to interview, and it's a great network. So I agree with you. I think there's a lot. It's a small world down here, South Florida,
Yeah.
compared to some other cities I've lived in.
Yes.
It's a small community, a very, very small community, and but very warm and very welcoming. And as you mentioned, they do need help. They will take free labor, free volunteering.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Something that I've noticed that is an additional benefit of getting involved with Jim Sherm is that, and I've also joined another group called the Diversity Council.
Oh, nice.
You meet people, and then they like you, and then that makes you feel good about yourself, and you go to a meeting and there's a terrific topic and your questions are better than anybody else's, and that builds your confidence. So it's while a long job search, and believe me, mine has been long, you can get really, really depressed.
Yes.
It is so great to have those infusions of feeling good about yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
So Ines and I were last Wednesday at this all-day workshop that was hosted by Ultimate Software.
Oh, at the billboard, yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It was great.
So it was really good. The price of the ticket was we needed to sit through a demo.
Sure.
like a timeshare resort. But the speakers were wonderful. The networking was good. The setting was beautiful. The food was outstanding.
Really?
So yeah. And I found out about that on LinkedIn. So if they go to Palm Beach or something, watch for that. Watch for that.
No, that's,
yeah, Ultimate Software does an annual event. And they always do a knockout job.
Excellent job.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see familiar faces as well, which is great. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes. That's great, really. So you saw some people you knew, but you met some new people.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
That's great. Well, the more that people see you and get to know you, it's that familiarity that really helps.
Hey, I want to go back because I asked a question earlier and I got some answers, but I was looking for a couple of different ones. And I have a little example. I slipped a resume into the chat for Michael Sabag. I don't know if anybody knows Michael, but I'll come back to that resume in a minute. So I asked the question, okay, so I'm blogging. Who can even bank on anybody reading it? I mean, certain cases they are, but I don't know that everybody is swimming around looking for more stuff to read in their life. We're kind of all overwhelmed. But certainly, I think we did hit on, and Marylou hit on, that there's an air of confidence that happens once you write something, and maybe somebody might like it or share it, and that certainly is reinforcing. But there's something else that happens when a recruiter might be looking at you, and that's kind of key, because there is a point that a recruiter could Google you, or the recruiter is looking at your LinkedIn profile, and if they see any kind of subject matter expertise that's documented, that's written, even if it's not the perfect skill set that they're needing to fill, that confidence is now relayed in a very factual manner, and it makes you different. So it differentiates that blog, even if it wasn't the most topical thing. In terms of differentiating yourself, that's where Michael Sabag, I don't know, those of you know the Michael Sabag, I don't know if you do, but he's been a keynote with HR ABCs. He's going to be at the September chapter event. He did a breakfast event. He's a great guy. He used to work with PricewaterhouseCoopers, currently doing an HR consulting thing. But he was at our workshop too 4 or 5 years back, and he put his resume across my desk about 4 years ago, and it had the most unique thing on it that, if you guys can see it, there's a QR code on it. And QR codes back in the time were kind of unheard of.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But here's the thing. If you write a blog and your name is Mike Powers or Tom Jones, and there's a bunch of Mike Powerses and Tom Jones out there, a QR code will load up a bunch of links that are specific about you. It's almost like taking control of the Google search. So if you have your blog, voila, or a LinkedIn article, voila, you put that link there. Maybe a link to your LinkedIn profile, maybe a link if there's a website that you have, or a chapter association that you're part of, a volunteer of. So that I just wanted to throw out there. Not too many people have jumped down that road, but if I'm a recruiter, good or not good, and I see a QR code on that resume, that's standing out. That says this person understands communications, Anyway, so enough on that, but I did want to kind of share that much of the story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lorianne Marabito, I connected with her after the happy hour, and I've watched how she presents herself as a consulting professional. And she'll have a little video clip, or she'll write an article. So there are models out there that you can kind of imitate and follow.
That's good to know. I think someone else has joined us.
Yes. Maggie.
Hello.
Say hi, Maggie. I'm going to put the camera on you. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Maggie.
So welcome to the group. We were all sharing stories of how we've tried to get some word out there about us and what we do, so that recruiters, employers, colleagues could have a different view of us than just our typical list of positions and degrees. And whether it's writing a blog or commenting, being a member of different groups, making some comments, trying to personalize our brand so that people could relate to it and think it might be someone they want to get to know. And I didn't know if you'd had any experiences of that kind, Maggie.
No, I've made comments on LinkedIn when peers, professional peers, post articles.
Sure.
I tend to be a little bit shy about
Uh-huh.
initiating
Yes.
branding myself because I fear being too braggadocious.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's a fine line.
Uh-huh. It is a fine line, and it's hard because I myself I'm not one who's fond of self-promotion, and so it's taken a lot to kind of make that push. I mean, having the articles for Examiner is kind of a help because if I don't write an article for 2 weeks, they send me an email and they go, "It's been 2 weeks since your last article. You know, you have to publish at least once every 30 days in order to maintain your status." And then it's like, "Oh my God, I got to get an article out there." So in some ways, it kind of gives me that push that I need to get something out there. I mean, I wish I could write more, but I also, you know, have a certain, it's got to be the right article with whatever, the right comments and wanting it to be a certain way.
And it takes time.
It does take time.
Yes, many hours.
Not just the writing, also researching other articles to include links, and then trying to find a photo, which always hard to find a photo. Usually it's easy to find a video, but I'm telling you, the last article I wrote, I had the roughest time finding a video. They kept giving videos of things that were completely unrelated to the topic. I'm like, I can't put that up there. But those things they like you to do to kind of embellish what you're writing. But I guess the main thing for me is to keep it positive, to keep it something that hopefully is going to help people and make them think about how they can improve themselves or their brand and how they represent themselves to the world. And sometimes I write about people who inspire me, you know, anyone from Richard Branson to Malala, Pope Francis. I mean, because I think those things kind of, we look at those people, but then we say, okay, well, how could I, in my own way, in my life, emulate something that they're doing? I try to bring it down to the person level. Because I think that's important too, that we can, in our own way, make a difference. We have to believe that we can. So I try to get that out there.
Mike shared with me early in my transition a formula for when you're creating an online persona. Mike, you attributed it to somebody, I don't know who that is, but you told me that 60% of what you post should be of a helpful nature to help your audience. 30% of it you can let your personality, you know, show your personality, let yourself come through. And then that small 10% of it, there might be some type of a self-promotional message. So, and I've kept that in mind.
Okay.
That's beautiful,
yeah.
Mike.
It's a great formula. It's a great formula. It came from Jennifer Hampton, who back 6-7 years ago, when the social media thing was landing on my desk through HR Florida, and I was trying to figure it out, I went to a couple of her workshops, and she threw that out there. She's now known as Superior Virtual Services, very successful. So Virtual Jen is her Twitter handle, and an interesting thing to remember as a takeaway, Ibby, that's awesome. I wanted to say, you know, Twitter is a unique place where many of us don't really care if Mary's walking her dog, or all of the various tweets that are out there are not really relevant to all of us. That said, there's something else about Twitter going on, and you'll probably find that if you do spend any time there, you will find more and more reasons that there's value. And I wanted to put Marylou's Twitter feed up because, you know what? Marylou is basically communicating what her brand is to the Twitterverse. And that's a great way to connect with people. It's not just keynote speakers or presenters or people with a passion that they want to communicate. It's authors, people, musicians, it's television newscasters, people that you might already like. But the point of, I think, connecting in a different way through a Twitter type of a thing and understanding a person's brand is valuable. Easy for me to say, but as the writer, if you go and you make a tweet, what do you tweet about? Well, I think the bigger question might be, and I'm going to ask Marylou the question, okay, we understand branding is good and writing, be it a blog or a tweet, is a good thing, sharing a news thing. We understand it's a good thing. How do you find your brand if you don't really know what it is? So what do you have to say about that, Marylou?
Okay. I think that's something that, you know, it's funny because the title of my book is Powering Up Your Inner Brand. So I'm very focused on what is inside of me and trying to get that out to people. Maybe because I think as a child I was much more of an introvert, and being an extrovert has been a learned activity. And so I do think about that inner world that exists inside, and if I don't show it to the outside, then nobody is ever going to know it's there. And to me, I'm sure many people must feel like maybe people don't really understand me. But what have you done to try to help them understand you and be relevant to them?
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's something that we have to work on. We know what we have inside, but maybe we have to come up with a way to express it to others. And it doesn't necessarily have to be through writing. It could be when we go to a networking event and how we approach it. Now, the natural extrovert's going to be able to touch everyone in the room. Someone who's not so extroverted may only speak to a handful of people. That's okay, as long as you had something meaningful going on with those handful of people. Sometimes I'm in the corner with one or two people, and I say to myself, well, you didn't really get to all, and I'll say, yeah, but I had a conversation that I feel good about. I felt they understood me and I understood them. And I think that's really what true networking is about. It's not just sort of saying hello to everyone in the room, because maybe that's not going to be very meaningful. But you can at least focus on what you are and talk about the things that move you to others, and you might find you have common ground with them. I don't know.
I have a question in regards to Twitter.
Yes.
Twitter and Facebook are social networking for me on a personal level. I feel I've seen some Twitterers have their brand tagline, and I find that, I don't know, not contradictive, but you must always maintain a professional presence in Twitter. So if there is a political conversation going on, obviously, as a professional, I don't want to make any comments.
Right. Yes. Although it's very tempting this year, isn't it?
That's why that was so easy to pick on. You know, as a professional, I don't want to make any derogatory comments one way or another when I'm representing my brand. But just me, Maggie, the social person, I can say what I want.
Can't you have two accounts? I mean,
well,
isn't it?
Yes. I thought about that.
Maggie, that's exactly what people do. I don't know if anybody knows Margaret Spence.
Yes.
Very well branded, Margaret Spence, and she has 3 Twitter accounts, and she's got several blogs. But you know, a different Twitter account is not hard. People think, oh my God, I don't even want to enter the Twitterverse. 3 accounts is 3 more inboxes and 3 more stuff to manage, and no, it really isn't. If you have a reason for a Twitter personal connection with people, well, it makes sense to keep the politics, you know, just in that place. And you know, I don't know. I do think multiple Twitter accounts would be the way to do that, or multiple Facebook pages too. People have a professional Facebook page and a personal one.
Okay. True.
I think Facebook is a little bit more challenging. They monitor duplicates very carefully.
Oh, I
Yes,
didn't
they
know
do.
that.
I just recently went to a workshop on that. And you can have a business Facebook and I think a personal one, but they do monitor it very carefully, so
Okay.
they don't allow you to duplicate that easily.
I just need technical training assistance on Twitter. I have an account, and sometimes I'll, like, if I don't have anything else to do, I'll follow the Twitter feed, and I find it overwhelming. But I don't, you know, when I go to share something, there's a little box, and I'm not really quite clear about what to do with the hashtag. I know that sounds like really ignorant, but
No.
you know, a brain can only hold so much, and I haven't mastered that piece yet. So I've been honest.
Practice.
When you practice, everybody sees it.
Oh yeah,
Right,
safely.
exactly. It's kind of a public practice.
Are there people that you follow on Twitter that perhaps you can reply with a comment? That's a good way to get started.
Okay.
Well, if I were to pay any attention to any of the stuff that I receive, that people are following me, but when I get an email that says so and so is following you, I'm like, well, good luck. You're not going to be seeing anything from me.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, you're right.
But are
I
you
do.
following anyone?
You know what? Mostly for me, it's about the news. And then having worked at the Miami Herald, you know, a lot of the people that I'm connected with are former reporters or reporters now, so keeping on with the news. But, you know, Bloomberg, and it's just, it became an overwhelming chore to just try to keep up with it all. So I don't know, what are tips for how to do that? Just to read it all.
Ibby, apparently it's really easy to link your Twitter to your LinkedIn account. So if you post anything or apply anything to LinkedIn, it'll automatically show up on Twitter. And that makes it
you can click another box, yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know what to do with the freaking hashtag even, okay?
You may need to get some instruction on that.
I know. I'll find something on YouTube.
Yeah. I was just going to recommend, if you have any nieces, nephews, grandchildren, cousins that are younger, just tell them to spend a little bit of time with you to show you around Twitter.
Okay.
That's the best. That's the best education.
Right. I mean, in many ways, I am very hip.
And if you're brave, you guys can look at the HR Inside Track page. I put the link here that has a pretty simple how-to, and it'll hit on hashtags as well. How to use Twitter as a job search page for HR positions. You know, and even myself, and I think we're a little bit off the plan here with Marylou, but let me pull that off. You can create lists, and I have a list of people. There's like 12 or 15 people I've found that post HR openings continually.
Really?
And so, it kind of makes sense, even if you're not getting into doing tweets, to at least get into the Twitterverse and understand a little bit about how it works, and you'll probably find more and more reasons to go back. If you don't. You know, this isn't a Twitter commercial or anything.
Exactly. Okay. Well,
but we are, we are at the end, and Marylou, great session. I want to say. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Did you guys hopefully feel that there was a takeaway or two?
Yes.
If you have that answer, let me pull this up. There will be a survey sent to you probably as soon as we hang up in the next 10 or 15 minutes. The same email that you. And if you have done it before and you're not able to get in, would you let me know that with an email or call me? And at the same time, if you have questions about the social media, any of the various mediums out there, I don't know everything and I don't know a lot, but I'm so far into it, I'm almost bored with it. I kind of took a study myself of social etiquette in the social media explosion, so I do know a whole lot about that. but at the same time, I'd love to be a resource for you guys if you're looking to kind of just better understand how that might create opportunities in your job search. So with that, I'd like to ask that we give another round of applause for Marylou.
Thank you. And feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions or about whether it's writing or networking or HR or whatever.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank everybody. I'm going to
Good night, everybody.
say good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for being here. Hope to see you next week.
Okay.
Happy Sunday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.